محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على. Mu'minin, today's program has been updated. It is as follows now. Quran Khan has been completed. There will be a speech by the World Federation, followed by Holy Ramadan du'as. Thereafter, NHS overview, tea and tabarruk. And also, Mu'minin, there is waffles on sale in R1 for the noble cause. Bar Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat. Mu'minin, tonight's Ruhani Majlis is as follows. Majlis by the family of Marum Al-Haj, Amir Ali Bhai Jamal Datu for the Isale Sawab of Marum Shaukat Ali Bhai Panjwani, Marum Imran Panjwani, Maruma Pareen Bhai Panjwani, Maruma Sugra Bhai Ramji and Kul Marumins. Majlis by the family of Al-Haj Pyar Ali Bhai Ismail and family for the Isale Sawab of Maruma Kulsum Bhai Karim, Maruma Kulsum Bhai Walji, Maruma Kulsum Bhai Ismail, Maruma Kulsum Bhai Dhanji and Kul Marumins. Your humble requested to recite Surah Fatiha for Kul Marumins. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mu'minina have been requested upon the family of Marum Fidausen by Fazal Jetta to please forgive him if he has said anything to upset you, and also if there are any outstanding debts, please contact the family members of the Marumin. Bar Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat. Mu'minin, we are very honored to have one of the office bearers from the World Federation, Dr. Ali Abbas Rashid, who will be updating us on the Ramadan Relief Fund. Please let's welcome him with the loudest Nare Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Seek refuge from Satan, our open enemy. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most kind, the most merciful. Bayo Nebeno, my brothers and sisters, thank you so much for this kind invite. And with that, Assalamu alaikum to all of you wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mane Gujarati ma bolu tu, but I think with the way the new generations are going, I will speak in English, inshallah. So please forgive me. My name is Ali Abbas Hashim. I'm a doctor by profession, and I'm currently the Assistant Secretary of the World Federation. And they've asked me to come speak to you today about one of our campaigns, the Ramadan Relief, on behalf of WF Aid, which is our charitable arm. This year, the World Federation turned 50 years old, which is not a small achievement. To give you an idea, the NHS is 75 years old. So as an institution, we have been serving peoples from all walks of life for at least 50 years, if not longer. And our communities have long been known to be philanthropic. When I was asked to drive down from London to give this speech, I felt it was a really heavy responsibility that had been put upon me. Because today I'm here as a messenger, as a voice for those people who we will never meet, those people we serve, those people who depend on us. And they depend on us because they find themselves in situations not necessarily of their own doing, in hardship. And we are in a position, we are blessed to be able to give them relief. Who am I talking about? These are the widows, the orphans, the refugees, the single mothers, the elderly, the asylum seekers that we serve throughout the world. And you will see some of this in the videos I will present shortly. A heavy responsibility because if I show you the numbers from the report we produced last week, so in 2025 alone, 641,000 people, more than 500,000 people that we have been able to support. What does that equate to? 24 million meals, 75,000 food banks across 25 countries around the world, all with your support. You know, in this holy month, we remember Amir al-Mu'mineen because we mourn of his death, and he was known as the father of the orphans. And he's famously known to have said that the nourishment of the body is food, but the nourishment of the soul is feeding others. And with that, we will shortly recite a dua. And in that dua, you will say, Allahumma agni kulla fakir. O Allah, enrich every poor person. Allahumma ashbi kulla ja'i. O Allah, feed every hungry soul. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this? Allah does not directly put it into your bank account or directly send food to your table. He increases your risk. He blesses your heart and inspires you to give towards those who need from you, from the excess wealth that you have. This then goes to the person who benefits from it, the 641,000 people last year. This year the need is even greater. And look at how merciful our Lord is, that with the bounty from His bounty that He gives us, we are able to give to someone else, and yet somehow we are the ones who benefit. So please keep that in mind. So what am I asking of you? It's just a humble reminder as a messenger for the people that we support, that for £45 a month, you can feed a family for the whole month. So sorry, for a one-off donation of £45, you can feed a family the whole month. What does that mean to you? Is it a subscription? Maybe your mobile phone contract? Maybe dessert once a month? Maybe a meal out with the family? £45 a month. In this part of the world where we are blessed with safety and security, let us open our hearts and give what you can to support the people who cannot support themselves. With that in mind, I ask that if you cannot open up your wallets, then to please open up that which is free, engaging with us on social media, exposing our campaigns to your networks, bringing awareness to the plight of others will help those in need, and maybe somebody else will be in a position to give that which you cannot. We have a stall outside. Brother Zafar Abbas is here. Please ask him any questions you have. He's one of our core members for the WF8 team. And I'll be around after the program as well if anybody has any questions. I thank you for your time. We have a very short video to present, and with that, inshallah, we'll continue with the du'as, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رمضان تجلى وابتسم طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنما فالخير وفير إن صرما ينزي المأثوم من النار رمضان تجلى وابتسم طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنما رمضان تجلى وابتسم طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنما فالخير وفير إن صرما ينزي المأثوم من النار.
Thank you, Dr. Ali Abbas Rashid. Wa Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad salawat. Mu'minin will now commence with the Holy Ramadan du'as. Wa Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad salawat.
صلوات صلوات محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم، أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه، وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن علي، وأدخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغن كل فقير، اللهم أشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكس كل عريان، اللهم اقض دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشف كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عامي هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتضح الثناء بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النقال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي وأكل يا غفور أفرتي فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها وهموم قد كشفتها وأثرة قد أقلتها ورحمة قد نشرتها وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده الظاهر بالكرم مجده الباسط بالجود يدا الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده الكفرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما إنه هو العزيز الوهاب اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير مع حاجة بي إليه عظيما وغناك عنه قديم وهو عندي كثير وهو عليك سهل يسير اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وصفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على قبيح عملي وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي أدمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك الذي رزقتني من رحمتك وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا الله خائفا ولا وجلا مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك فإن أتبت عني أتبت بجهلي عليك ولعل الذي أبتأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد اللعيم منك عليه يا ربي إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك كأن ليتطول عليك فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي وتفضلي علي بجودك وكرمك فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك إنك جواد كريم الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالك الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا ظهير يعاضده قهر بعزته العزة وتواضع لعظمته العظمى فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أناتي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا آسي ويؤذم النعمة علي فلا أجازي فكم من موهبة حنيئة قد أعطاني وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يختك حجابه ولا يخلق بابه ولا يرد السائل ولا يخيب عامله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويخلق ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الحاربين نكال الظالمين سريك المستسرقين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وأمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على صديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. وصل على سبتي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الحادي المهدي. حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلوات كثيرة طائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك. استخلف في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له. أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما كسرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشأب به صدعنا، وارزق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وأعزز به ذلتنا، وأغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به أسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجح به دليبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وعدنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة أعمالنا، وعدنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا، وأذهب به كيد قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق. آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبيك صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وإنا على ذلك بفتح منك تؤجل، وبذر تكشف، ونصر تعز، وسلطان حق تظهر، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم برحمتك في الصالحين فأدخلنا، وفي إليين فارفعنا، وبكأس من معين من عين سلسبيل فاسقنا، ومن الحور العين برحمتك فزوجنا، ومن الولدان المخلدين كأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون فأخدمنا، ومن ثمار الجنة والحوم الدير فأدئمنا، ومن ثياب السندس والحرير والاستبرق فألبسنا، وليلة القدر وحج بيتك الحرام، وقتلا في سبيلك فوفق لنا، وصالح الدعاء والمسألة فاستجب لنا. وإذا جمعت الأولين والآخرين يوم القيامة فارحمنا، وبراءة من النار فاكتب لنا، وفي جهنم فلا تكن لنا، وفي عذابك وهوانك فلا تبتلنا، ومن الزقوم والذريء فلا تطعمنا، ومع الشياطين فلا ترجعلنا، وفي النار على وجوهنا فلا تكببنا، ومن ثياب النار وسرابيل القطران فلا تلبسنا، ومن كل سوء يا لا إله إلا أنت، بحق لا إله إلا أنت فنجنا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم في الأمر الحكيم، من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل، أن تكتبني من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم، المشكور سعيهم، المغفور ذنوبهم، المكفر عن سيئاتهم، وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وعافية، وتوسع في رزقي، وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك ولا تستبدل بغيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنك قلت في كتابك المنزل شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، فأذمته متى شهر رمضان بما أنزلت فيه من القرآن، وخصصته بليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. اللهم وهذه أيام شهر رمضان قد انقضت ولياليه قد تسرمت، وقد سرت يا إلهي منه إلى ما أنت أعلم به مني وأحسى لعدده من الخلق أجمعين، فأسألك بما سألك به ملائكتك المقربون وأنبياؤك المرسلون وعبادك الصالحون أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن تفك ركبتي من النار وتدخلني الجنة برحمتك، وأن تتفضل علي بعفوك وكرمك وتتقبل تقربي وتستجيب دعائي، وتمنى علي بالأمن يوم الخوف من كل هول أعددته ليوم القيامة. إلهي وأعوذ بوجهك الكريم وبجلالك العظيم إن ينقضي أيام شهر رمضان ولياليه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تؤاخذني به أو خطية تريد أن تقتصها مني لم تغفرها لي. سيدي 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 أسألك يا لا إله إلا أنت إذا لا إله إلا أنت إن كنت رضيت عني في هذا الشهر فازدد عني رضاه، وإن لم تكن رضيت عني فمن الآن فارض عني يا أرحم الراحمين. يا الله يا أحد يا صمد يا من لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد، يا منين الحديد لداود عليه السلام، يا كاشف الذور والكرب لذام عن أيوب عليه السلام، أي مفرج هم يعقوب عليه السلام، أي منفذ غم يوسف عليه السلام. صل على محمد وآل محمد كما أنت أحلو أن تصلي عليهم أجمعين، وافعل بما أنت أحلو ولا تفعل بما أنا أحلو. يا ملين الحديد لداود عليه السلام، يا كاشف الذور والكرب لذام عن أيوب عليه السلام، أي مفرج هم يعقوب عليه السلام، أي منفذ غم يوسف عليه السلام. صل على محمد وآل محمد كما أنت أحلو أن تصلي عليهم أجمعين، وافعل بما أنت أحلو ولا تفعل بما أنا أحلو. يا ملين الحديد لداود عليه السلام، يا كاشف الذور والكرب لذام عن أيوب عليه السلام، أي مفرج هم يعقوب عليه السلام، أي منفذ غم يوسف عليه السلام. صل على محمد وآل محمد كما أنت أحلو أن تصلي عليهم أجمعين، وافعل بما أنت أحلو ولا تفعل بما أنا أحلو.
Dua for the 25th night of Ramadan. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا جائل الليل لباسا والنهار معاشا والأرض محادا والجبال أوتادا. يا الله يا قاهر يا الله يا جبار يا الله يا سميع يا الله يا قريب يا الله يا مجيب يا الله يا الله يا الله. لك الأسماء الحسنى والأمثال العليا والكبرياء والعالى. أسألك أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن تجعل اسمي في هذه الليلة في السعداء وروحي مع الشهداء وإحساني في إليين وإساءتي مغفورا. وأن تهب لي يقينا تباشر به قلبي وإيمانا يذهب الشك عني ورضا بما قسمت لي. وآتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار الحريق. وارزقني فيها ذكرك وشكرك ورغبة إليك والإنابة والتوبة والتوفيق لما وفقت له محمدا وآل محمد عليهم السلام. الفاتحة.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Mominin will now be having the NHS overview in general practice, community pharmacy, and accident and emergency. We are honored to have Dr. Osman, a general practitioner, Mr. Ghulam Yaqub, community pharmacist, and Dr. Nasir Kanji, accident and emergency registrar. Please let's welcome all with a loud Nare Salawat. And the first person to give us the overview will be Dr. Osman Bar Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come and talk to you about, literally, this is an overview of general practice, which I'll be talking myself about it, and then we'll have Brother Ghulam Yaqub from Graham Young Pharmacy. He will be talking about the community pharmacy services, and then we'll have Dr. Nasir Kanji, who is A&E registrar in Peterborough City Hospital. He'll be talking about the overview in A&E. So what we are going to talk to you, probably something you already know, is just to probably reiterate what the services are available, probably how to access them, and maybe you'll have some question to ask us. So literally to come to explain to you also how things have changed in the last few years. So I'll start with myself. So first of all, we'll just say what is the primary care. as we all know, is basically the first point of contact. So whatever we have, you'll normally contact your GP. And we act as a gatekeepers between the primary and secondary care, apart from the acute services and chronic services that we provide in the community. And of course, onwards referral, depending if it's an acute referral, we will refer you to the specialty on the day, or if it's a routine referral, we'll refer you to the specialty going forward. Or if we think you need to go to A&E or we need to call a 999, we will do that for you. So there's a lot of change in the general practice that I'll come to the next slide. But what are the services which are available in the community? So for instance, it's ourselves as the general practitioners, and then we have community pharmacy, which are delivering a lot of services now compared to what it was just 2 years ago. We have also dental colleagues, we have opticians. Also, we have other services like minor injuries unit, and I think for the last 20 years now, we have out-of-hours services which cover GPs when the GP surgeries are closed. Now, what has changed in the general practice overall? So I'll give an example of my own surgery, which is in Wisbech. I've been there for the last 14 years as a GP partner. When I joined 14 years ago, it was full-time 6 partners, 2 salaried GPs, and only 1 advanced nurse practitioner. All the services were provided by ourselves as a GPs, and then we have 1 advanced nurse practitioner. So we were covering everything. 14 years down the line, because of different reasons, lack of recruitment, funding, and everything else, the dynamics have completely changed. And you all, I'm sure you all have experience in your own surgery. So there's a big team now of different people who are working side by side with the GPs. And all of these people are very important. They have their own experiences, and they deliver the services, some of which myself as a GP probably, either I haven't done them for a long time now and I've become de-skilled, or there are some that I'm not trained for and I cannot deliver, and it's my colleagues who are delivering this. So I'm going, for example, for my own surgery. So we have now from almost 8 GPs at the time, 14 years ago, now there are only 3 full-time equivalent GPs, okay? Only 3. The size of the practice has slightly gone down. We used to be around 12,000, now we are around 10,000. So the size hasn't decreased as much, but the number of GPs have significantly decreased. So who else do we have there? So we have advanced clinical team or advanced clinical practitioners. So at the moment, we have 2 advanced nurse practitioners. We have 1 advanced clinician who is the background of paramedics. We have diabetic nurse. We also have, we used to have a mental health nurse. So this is advanced clinical team. We have first contact physiotherapist, okay, who works in the surgery. We have clinical pharmacists. We have about 4 of them who work in the surgery or remotely. We have a team of care coordinators, and we have social prescribers. These all people do different kind of jobs, and they assist us. But at the end of the day, every day in the practice, we have a duty GP. So they do all the work together with ourselves, all clinical work, and whenever they need any help, they will come to us and we'll assist them. So I know sometimes you'll always hear from patients or from family members that I don't see a doctor, I can't see a doctor. And I understand, it is true. But these people, they work with us side by side. And as I said, there are things that I cannot do at the moment, which my colleagues are doing. For instance, I can't do minor ops. I cannot do minor surgery in the practice because I am not trained to do that. But the paramedic colleague who is advanced clinical practitioner, he is the one who is doing minor operations and joint injections. So what I'm trying to emphasize, these colleagues work with ourselves side by side. Now, the other very important service which is available in the community at the moment, I think it's just under 2 years, is Pharmacy First. Inshallah, Brother Ghulam Yaqub will come and cover that in detail. What does it mean? And again, this service has been put in place to help the general practice so that people can access them directly without need to come and see a GP, or it used to be before 2 years ago, you have to come to the GP and then we need to refer you. That has gone now. 7 conditions, you just walk into the pharmacy. Of course, Brother Ghulam will cover in detail, and they will help you. If they can't help you for whatever reason, they refer you back to ourselves, and we take it back and see how or what we need to do for you. Now, this is another service. Again, I'm sure you might be aware of this, but I'd like to talk again about it. So this is called extended access. So basically, it is the same GP service that I provide from 8 to 6:30 in the evening, but then there are people who are working, there are people who are carers, there are people for different reasons, they cannot come into the core hours of general practice. So this has been put in place for people like in these circumstances that I've just mentioned. So this is literally, for instance, again, I'll talk about what we do in Wisbech, but these are hours in Peterborough, okay? So us in Wisbech, we do every working day from 6:30 till 8 o'clock in the evening, and then on Saturdays, we do it from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. So these are the same kind of services, maybe less hours, and not everything is available on every day, but more or less we try to cover everything. So for instance, ourselves, we will have a GP every day in the evening and every Saturday. Again, they see the patient themselves at the same time. They help the other colleagues who are there on site on that particular day. So also we'll have nurses appointment, we will have the healthcare assistants appointment, clinical pharmacists at times, or even physiotherapists at times. And again, it's literally to give people the access. Now, in Peterborough, I had a quick look. Many years ago, I used to cover this service. We used to do it in Barbara practice. I think they're still doing it there, and I think Thistlemore service, they do it themselves. But if you need this kind of service, ask your own GPs. They all have to provide this, and they're able to tell you how to get access to this. Now, this is another service. Again, I'm sure you know about it, probably have used, again, to re-emphasize. So this is Urgent Treatment Center or Minor Injuries Unit. So these are the conditions that you can get help there without contacting your GP or going to community pharmacy. This is a walk-in service. You don't need to call anybody, you have to walk in. In Peterborough, this is in A&E department, and I think it's 8 to 8. So you can access this service for all these conditions that I have mentioned there. What are the things that they cannot treat in urgent care center or minor injuries unit? This is, again, these are all kind of life-threatening conditions. So with this, basically, you need to go to A&E rather than to minor injuries unit. Again, these all services are designed to help and to reduce the pressures to the general practice and to help access to the patients when they need for the appropriate conditions. Okay, now coming to this one, which is out of hours. We all are familiar with this. This is ongoing for about 22 years now. So we know, and these are the hours that you normally need to access this service. Now, the way it works, NHS 111, we all know you have to call, and the center is moved from City Care Center now is in A&E in Peterborough City Hospital. As you know, you make a call handler will take a call and then either book you with a clinician for a phone call, face-to-face appointment, or home visit as appropriate. Also with this 111, there is also, this is 111 option 1. If you go to 111 option 2, this is a mental health crisis line. So for instance, if you have a family member or a friend who is known to have a mental health condition, they are in a crisis situation, you can bypass the GP surgery and call directly to them. They will assess the situation. If they feel it is somebody, unfortunately, is in a crisis situation, they will take on board and deal with it. If they feel it is not a crisis situation, they will refer you back to your own GP. So this is to keep in mind, but also if you're in a crisis situation, you are not limited to call your GP. You can always call your GP. The other option is 111 option 4. This is for end-of-life care. So when people are at the end-of-life care, It's again a team effort or a teamwork which involves your own GP, it involves the district nurses and the palliative care team. I know time to time it may be difficult to get access of all these people, and you are in dire need, you need some advice. This is the number, 111 option 4, and they are very good and they will help you, and they can contact your own GP, district nurse or palliative care team after speaking to you. So it's important just to remember, it's one of the options when you call 111. Okay, we all know what is normally treated in out of hours. It's always an urgent conditions which cannot wait till your GP is there the next day or after the weekend. So anything that you think is urgent, can't wait, you need to call 111. What are the situations that they will not help you with if you call 111 as an urgent? Routine GP things. Supposedly you have a hip pain that has been ongoing for the last 3 months. Nothing has changed over the weekend. You thought, let me speak to somebody today. Once they take the history, if they realize that it's a chronic condition, they will redirect you back to your own GP. Other things like you want a sick note, your sick note is finishing today on Sunday, you think you should get it today, they won't help you with that. Now, this is very important, and probably you know again about it, but I thought I'll mention. So there are very important changes that have happened October last year in the GP contract. Now, as a GPs, from 1st of October, we are supposed to keep our access open from the start of the surgery till the end of the day, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6:30 in the evening. We are not supposed to close even for lunch. We have to provide the access throughout. And how do we provide that? Either by phone call or online access, or you can walk in and request what you want. You are allowed to do that. Now, when you walk in, it doesn't mean that necessarily you will be given an appointment. It's like making a phone call. Okay, you make a phone call, reception will take the call, assess your situation, and based on what you're saying, they will then put you on an appropriate service that you need. But you can also now walk in. A few years ago, if you walk in, somebody will tell you, we are not seeing anybody who walk in. You have to go and make a phone call. We are not allowed to do that. So you can walk in. But I'm repeating that walking in, it doesn't mean that you'll get an appointment by walking in. People will take your needs, and then it will be assessed as somebody else who is making a phone call, as someone else who is writing a message through online. So what will happen? So you have, let's say you have called, and it's within the time, and these are the situations that I've already mentioned. Either you'll be told, go to pharmacy first with the condition that Brother Ghulam will cover, or go to MIU, or we'll book you in an extended access this evening or over the weekend, or we'll book you an appointment in a week's time, or go to A&E or call 999. Now, the appointments will go. Okay. Now, in the past, it used to be, we have reached the capacity for today, please call us tomorrow. We are not allowed to do that anymore. When you put your request, we will have to respond to it on the day. So what happens? Appointments are finished. As I said, there'll always be a GP on duty. So we have what we call a triage list. This is, I'm talking about my own surgery. And then every one of the GPs will be on duty. So we go through what is there, and then we decide what we need to do. There are times that I will say, okay, just ask the patient to come in, let's say 10 o'clock. I'll say, okay, put it on my telephone call. I will speak to the patient myself and decide. There'll be something with the triage that when I just see it, I say, ask him to go to A&E. Or I said, no, ask him to call 999. So it depends. Or sometimes I'll speak to the patient and I realize myself, no, this is a 999 call. I will do it myself for the patient. So what it is that whatever you put it there, you will get a response of some kind, and you will not be told to call tomorrow. So I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but this is there, and it's in all NHS England, and we all should be able to access this. Now, I will pass it on to Brother Ghulam Yaqub to cover pharmacy first, and then, of course, Nasir will carry on, and then we'll take the questions at the end. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Today I've been asked to do a presentation on pharmacy first. So my name is Ghulam Yaqub. I am a pharmacist by trade. Currently work for Thistle Surgery and Graham Young Pharmacy as the superintendent pharmacist. So what I wanted to do today, I'm sure most of you have heard about the Pharmacy First service or used it at some point, but just going to go briefly run through the service itself, the 7 conditions that are covered with the service. Also, I will talk about some of the advantages, potential limitations of the service, and then possibly I will mention some other services that you will benefit from, inshallah. So the Pharmacy First service consists of 3 core components. So the first one used to be known as CPCS, now it's known as minor illnesses. This is where essentially you would get referred by your GP surgery or NHS 111 for minor conditions. So they will send a referral to the pharmacy where you will obviously go and have a consultation with the pharmacist and they will give you advice or over-the-counter medications. Then you have something called urgent medicine supply. For example, if you're on holiday down south in Cornwall and you've left your medications at home, or for example, your GP is closed and it's a weekend, this only applies to patients with chronic conditions and for medications that are on your repeat prescriptions. What NHS 111 will do is refer you to a pharmacy where you will be able to get an urgent supply of medication for your regular medication. Please note this does not apply for acute conditions, or no antibiotics and no controlled drugs. Lastly, we have clinical pathways. This is what I want to concentrate on. This is a major expansion of the previous service known as CPCS. These are, it was introduced in 2024 by NHS England. It builds on the previous CPCS service, so allows you, the pharmacist, to treat 7 common conditions without a referral. The aims of the service are to provide faster care for patients for these conditions. It allows us to help improve access to care for most patients and also reduces some of the pressure on GP surgeries and A&E, as Dr. Mohammed has mentioned already. So the question we get asked frequently is why not just go see your GP or go to A&E for these conditions? Well, firstly, sometimes obviously GPs tend to be quite busy. There is a significant pressure on the NHS at the moment with shortages of staff and so on. So you may have to wait days or weeks sometimes to be seen by a GP. Somebody with minor illnesses, especially if it's these 7 conditions that I will talk about, a GP appointment may not necessarily be the best thing for you. For obviously more chronic conditions, complex conditions, we would advise you go to your GP and see them. Again, with serious illnesses, life-threatening emergencies, we would always advise you go to A&E. Just to be noted, if during the consultation, if a pharmacist recognizes red flag symptoms or recognizes that you can't be treated, they will always refer you back to your GP or urgent care if needed. So how do you access Pharmacy First? Well, like I said, it's a direct access, so it's a walk-in service. So about 95% of pharmacies in England currently are signed up for this service. That's more than 10,000 pharmacies alone in England. So you have the availability of going to your pharmacy without an arranged prior appointment, and you can have access to these services. So you have digital and telephone referrals from your GP and NHS 111. So they can refer you, if a GP doesn't have appointments for that day, they can refer you to a pharmacy as well. These are the 7 conditions on the screen. So there is an age limit or criteria for each condition. So you have sinusitis. You could be treated if you're 12 years and above. Sore throat is 5 years and above. This is obviously quite important throughout winter periods when a lot of children end up with tonsillitis or throat. So the pharmacy will be able to help you. You've got acute otitis media, which is an ear infection, common in kids again, 1 to 17-year-old. Any insect bites that get infected, especially in the summer, we get this a lot, 1 year and above. Impetigo, again, very common in children, 1 year and above. You've got shingles, which is not common in kids, more common in elderly, but if you're 18 and above, you could be treated in pharmacy for it. And then lastly, uncomplicated UTI. This is obviously for females, only more common in females, 16 to 64 years. So what happens during a consultation is the pharmacist will invite you to a private consultation room. So all your conversation will be private and confidential. They'll assess your symptoms properly. They use clinical history, NHS protocols to diagnose you. Once you've been diagnosed, they are able to provide prescription-only medications, including antibiotics, over-the-counter medication, and if they deem be self-care advice. Again, if a pharmacist recognizes red flag symptoms, or if they think that's something more serious, they will refer you back to your GP or hospital. So some of the benefits of the pharmacy first are because a lot of pharmacies are open longer hours and do the weekend. There's a faster care, access to treatment. You have increased availability of appointments, helps prevent conditioning from worsening, especially if it's detected early on and treated. See, a pharmacy can mean you get treated the same day. As we mentioned before, it will reduce a lot of the pressure on GP and A&Es. There are obviously some limitations to the service. At the moment, the service itself is limited to 7 conditions. And there is a strict age criteria for each service, and also there's a symptom criteria which the pharmacist will go through during the consultation. The pharmacist may need to refer you back, but this is not necessarily a limitation. If I was to refer a patient back, say, and I've talked to the GP to say that he needs to be seen or needs something, antibiotics, the GP will probably take it more seriously and get you an appointment for the same day. At the moment, there is a lack of awareness that the service exists, and also the fact that a lot of people don't realize that the pharmacist can give antibiotics and so on. Some of the other services that your local chemist or pharmacy will be doing, which may be beneficial for you, are listed on the screen. So you have blood pressure checks. This is limited to patients with who do not have blood pressure already, or who are not taking blood pressure medications. And you have ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, which is a 24-hour monitoring. These are for, normally we get GP referrals for patients who have uncontrolled hypertension, and allows the GP to get a better picture of what's really happening with the blood pressure so they can be treated properly. You have the contraception service, again, is started in the last 2 years, so we can initiate contraception now and also continue it in community pharmacies now. You have the flu jab and COVID jabs, again, 2 very good services. Flu jabs obviously is seasonal, whereas COVID jabs you have 2 boosters, spring and winter booster. There is obviously a limitation to it in terms of you have to meet certain conditions, you have to have certain conditions or be of a certain age to get these. Smoking cessation is another NHS-funded service that a lot of pharmacies tend to do. Then you have some of the private service like travel vaccines. If you're going on Hajj, Umrah, Ziyarah, you may need a travel vaccine. Again, a lot of pharmacies would do these over the weekend. So if you are working throughout the week and you can't get to your GP for vaccinations, you can always go to your pharmacy. Microsuction is a fairly new service that it's been introduced in community pharmacy. It used to be done by a lot of GPs. It's not, I believe it's been decommissioned. So a lot of pharmacists are taking over that service. You have to be 18 and above to be able to have this service done. And finally, weight management. If somebody has BMI over 35 or 40 with certain conditions and they find it hard to lose weight, we can sort of prescribe them Mounjaro injections or Orlistat, depending on the scenario. Again, an extremely good service to have in the community pharmacy. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Any questions, obviously, we'll take at the end. Perfect. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nasir. I'm one of the doctors in Peterborough City A&E. Some of you might have seen me there. I've taken a slightly different approach here. So we know what A&E provides. You show up to A&E, you seek some treatment. If you're unwell enough, you get admitted. And if you're well enough, hopefully you get turned around and go back home. We have some same-day units where you can get seen and managed as an outpatient. And there are lots of different pathways that are being developed to try and avoid having to admit you. But what I'm doing today is I'm trying to answer the question, what are these guys doing in there? How many of you have actually been in A&E, sitting in the waiting room thinking, why is it taking so long? The most common question I get asked is, I've been sitting out here for 4 hours. I could have made it to Southend by now and back, and I'm still sitting here waiting to be seen. Some people will tell me, this is like taking a flight to the Americas. I'm still sitting here. Nobody's actually seen me yet. What's going on? So let's talk about it. What are we actually doing in there? Are we just sitting in there having some chai? Do we just not want to see you? What's actually happening? So let's understand the pressure. And to get these numbers, I'm using England figures only. Doesn't include Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland. Okay, this is just England. So some numbers to start us off. In January 2026, there were 2.3 million attendances to A&E in England. Okay? There's a 4-hour performance metric we'll talk about. 72.5% of patients were seen and treated in 4 hours. That's completely unacceptable. Our targets are 95%. And 71,500 patients ended up sitting on a trolley for 12 hours. Okay? So let's look at the scale of the problem. So like we said, 2.3 million people just in January. It was a record high. In a year, we're seeing about 25 million people attending A&Es just in England. If you multiply that number in January by 12, you get to 27 million. So we are on track this year to break that record again. If you look at the numbers compared to last January, 4.6% more patients, that's 100,000 patients more attending A&E in January 2026 compared to 2025. In the last 10 years, we have seen a 17% rise in major A&E attendances compared to 10 years ago. This is not the nonsense that comes through like, my finger feels sore, or I've had an illness for 12 years and I've decided that today is the day I'm going to treat it. This is actually sick individuals who have delayed their care so significantly because they don't want to come to A&E. And so therefore, we've got a rise in the number of sick individuals coming in as well. So to give you perspective, for January, that's equivalent, 2.3 million, is equivalent to the entire populations of Manchester, Birmingham, and Leeds walking through A&E doors in 1 month. It's the 4-hour target. When you come in, you might have heard this in the media, everyone harps on about the 4-hour target. This is about how long it should take, theoretically, for you to get seen and treated in A&E. So from the time that you book in, you see the receptionist and you say, my finger hurts, to the time somebody sees you and says to you, you can now go home, or your finger looks like it's infected, we need to admit you, you should get that sorted in 4 hours. Our initial target was a 95% target. That means 95% of patients should be seen and treated in that time by A&E. NHS management dropped that down to 78% because we just couldn't reach 95. And guess what? In January 2026, we could only hit it at 72.5 in England. Okay? If you come in with a serious illness, a major type presentation, only 58% of those patients are getting seen within the first 4 hours and treated. Why is that? You're waiting on ambulances, you're sitting in an overcrowded A&E, there are delays to being triaged by the nurses outside. You walk into A&E and there's a queue all the way outside waiting for you to just book in. You see that queue and you decide, I'm not going to get seen today. You go home with a heart attack. You come back in heart failure 12 hours later. Okay? If you look at the major A&Es, 4 in 10 patients now wait longer than 4 hours. As a member of staff, I'm biased for saying this, despite staff working harder than ever. So where does the time go? Your journey depends on what you're actually coming in with. I think the first 2 talks were extremely beneficial because they showed you what services are available to you outside in the community. If you've got chronic pain, you've got a physiotherapy issue, you need a medication check, all of these things can be sorted in the community by your GP surgeries, by the clinical pharmacists, and they provide a valuable service because it means that you don't have to sit in the waiting area for somebody like myself to come and tell you, I'm sorry, I'm an emergency doctor, I can't help you get your normal medications. That's just not what we do. Or you've come in with hip pain that's been going on for 3 years and you decided Saturday evening was the time you wanted to go get seen because your family has now left you and Eid is around the corner and you want to make sure that you can walk to get the jalebi. The day to come is not Saturday night. The time to go is to go see your GP, get the in-house physio input, and get seen properly, because chronic pain is managed better as an outpatient. So if you come in with a small thing, generally speaking, you'll get seen, triaged, you'll arrive and register, you get triaged, you'll wait to see a clinician, hopefully you'll get treated and discharged within 2.5 hours. If I'm to be honest with you, I've never seen this happen in the last 6 months. The only place that I see this happen is in the urgent treatment center, which is adjacent to A&E. So if you come in with a fracture, you've fallen, you fractured your fingers or your wrist, yeah, you'll get seen and treated within 4 hours, no problem. You'll get seen by the nurse practitioners, because that's the minor injuries section. If you get brought into A&E, if you come into the urgent treatment center after 8 p.m. at night, you will wait. Sometimes you will wait longer than I've been on shift. So I'll come in at 10 p.m., I'll see you sitting there, salam, kalam. When I'm leaving at 8 a.m., I'll say, okay, see you later. You still haven't been seen. Okay? So just because it's a small problem doesn't mean you'll just get seen in 2.5 hours and that'll be done. Now, if you come in with a problem, a big problem, you're having a heart attack, you're having a stroke, you're bleeding, you've had an operation and now the wound's infected, the wound's opened up, you're feeling unwell, you've been vomiting, having diarrhea, you've tried over-the-counter stuff, it's not helping you, you're in a funny rhythm, you're feeling palpitations, you've got a heart problem, you are easily expected to wait more than 4.5 hours to complete your treatment in A&E. And that doesn't mean you're going home. That could mean that you're getting admitted and now you're waiting another 12 hours for the medical team to come and see you. So why does this happen? Again, it's the same thing. Look at that. Arrive and register. You get triage. You get your initial assessment. Someone like me might see you and say, yeah, you need to be admitted. Sorry, uncle. You get added to the wait list for a ward bed. How many of you here know people who've been sitting in a chair for more than 12 hours? It's embarrassing when I see somebody and say to them, you need to get admitted. I have no space for you. I'll put you in a recliner. Sometimes the recliner doesn't even recline. Yeah? You're lucky enough to get a trolley. You'll get put next to somebody that's screaming their head off because they have dementia. The lights are on, the emergency buzzer's going off. You don't get an ounce of sleep at night. By the time you get to the ward, you're sicker than when you came in. This is not how a health service should be working. But let's ask ourselves the question, why does that happen? So before we answer that one, in January, 192,000 patients in England spent over 12 hours in an A&E trolley or sitting in A&E somewhere. Okay? I don't like sitting there for more than 10 hours. If I'm there for 10 hours, I'm ready to go home and have my tea. So I don't know how people do it. Of those 192,000, 71,500 were told they needed a bed on the ward, but none was available. If you look at comparisons to January 2020, we have 25 times more 12-hour waits in A&E than before. So I used to work in A&E before the pandemic, and I used to see that the minute you hit 3.5 hours, you're getting carted off to a ward. You're not going to be sitting in A&E for longer than 4 hours. At max, you had nurses, bed managers, site managers pushing you. Now there's no space. We simply cannot move you on. So why is the hospital full? You come into A&E, you get seen by somebody, you get treated. Somebody like me might decide you need to get admitted. I talk to the medical team or the surgical team and say, this gentleman needs to come in. They'll say, okay, thank you for the referral, but we have no space. We have a 95% occupancy on the hospital wards. It should be 85. So somebody might ask, well, what about the other 5%? Why aren't we using those beds? The numbers are actually calculated by looking at day unit beds, theater recovery beds, endoscopy beds. We can't use those for patients because we don't have overnight staffing for them. So the limit of safety is at 85%. Why is this the case? It's because we've got more than 12,000 patients stuck in hospital waiting for social care. So we're very fortunate as a community because a lot of our ethos is that we take care of our sick, we take care of our families, but unfortunately this is not the case in more native population, for example. And we've got so many people just waiting for carers, or they're waiting for a hospital bed at home, or an occupational therapy assessment to happen, or they need to go to respite, but respite is full. Or they used to have family here, but they've relocated to London, so now nobody is able to take care of them. So guess what happens? They get dropped into hospital so that we can sort them out. So 12,000 patients just stuck waiting for a bed. This is a hotel analogy. You check into a hotel, the check-in clerk says, thank you very much, come on in. Your room was supposed to be ready at 2, but you know what? We can't give it to you. It's 4 p.m. now because the people in the room are still there because their taxi didn't arrive. And then you're sitting in the lobby and then somebody else comes waiting to check in, but they can't because you're waiting. And what ends up happening is that there's a line all the way out the door just waiting, with people just waiting to come in.
Dr. Nazir, my sincere apologies. I can request the people who have parked the cars in the parking bolly, the volunteers are waiting. They can move your cars. Please give the car keys to them. My sincere apologies. But Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad salawat.
I'm almost done, so you should be able to move your cars as well. So what's the problem with long waits? There's a big danger here. 18% of patients now receive care in corridors. Has anybody who had family in corridors? So what happens is there's no screens. You're lying there in your hospital gown, complete lack of dignity. People like myself are walking up and down in that corridor next to you all night long. The emergency buzzers going off, ultrasound machines, trolleys, everything's being moved around next to you. People are looking at you. If you need help, you're receiving help in an open area. What happens with this? We know that every 72 patients who are in this kind of a situation results in one excess death. This is a numbers needed to harm. So for every 72 individuals in this situation, one of them will die. And this would not be the case if you could actually end up on a ward. There's been a 40% increase in serious incidents linked to delayed care over 5 years. The Royal College of Emergency Medicine has looked at this, and the reason is because ambulances are queuing, you're waiting to be booked in, you're sitting on an ambulance for 6 to 8 hours. That ambulance can't go to the other person having a heart attack or having a stroke who can't come in, or who's been found unconscious and nobody can pick them up, or who have a hip fracture and are bleeding out. They end up dying at home sometimes. So corridor care used to be a last resort. It's now become routine. In fact, when I go into work, if I see the corridors empty, I say a salawat. Why? Because it means that my A&E is decompressed and I've got some space. But it's routine. If I go in and I don't see 8 patients there, something's not right. Normally it's Christmas when that happens. So what's the problem? The problem is that 1 in 7 A&E visits could actually be treated faster somewhere else. And that's why we preempted with community pharmacy and GP. If you're coming into me with a 3-month history of pain, I'm going to turn you around at the door. I'm actually going to tell you, look, I can give you some naproxen, I can give you some paracetamol, but really you need to go see your GP. You need to go see that in-house physiotherapist that Dr. Osman was talking about. You know, people come into us and say, oh, I live in Cornwall, I've come here for holiday. I don't know why they come to Peterborough for holiday, but they do. And they say, I left my medications at home, can you write them up? No, what you need to do is you need to go to Mr. Ghulam's pharmacy, and he will be able to help you out with that. You see? It's about using the resources you have correctly. In fact, I think this is wajibat, because it's wajib to save a life. So if you're coming in with unnecessary stuff, you're actually clogging the system for somebody that actually needs it. So if you decompress the situation, you're actually contributing to saving a life. And Allah says in Surah Ma'idah, you save one life, it's like you've saved all of humanity. So what can actually be seen in other areas? Minor cuts and wounds, coughs and colds, skin rashes if you're well. There are some where you need to come and see us. Minor sprains, dental pain. You can be seen in the community. Sometimes you're not sure, right? Sometimes even we're not sure of where we should take our family members. So call 111, option 1, and say to them, I've got this illness, what do you think should happen? Normally a clinician will get in touch with you and they'll tell you, we need you to go to A&E. And to be honest with you, I take it a lot more seriously when somebody's coming in with a chronic condition. If they've seen a GP, they've seen a pharmacist, they've spoken to 111 who says this person needs A&E. Actually, okay, you know, you've taken the right steps to be here. It doesn't mean I won't see you properly if you come in without that. It's just you'll be sitting for a longer time waiting to be seen. I'll give you an example. In January, on a shift of mine, we had a patient coming in with chest pain. They looked okay. They sat in the waiting area for 6 hours. By the time they had their ECG done, heart was gone. They'd had such a massive heart attack. They were already in heart failure. Royal Papworth Hospital in Cambridge refused to take them for a stent to be put in. And they needed to go onto the chronic heart failure pathway. 45-year-old. That's it. Life is done. Why? Because he was waiting for 6 hours. So A&E is for life or limb. And if you've got chest pain, difficulty breathing, signs of stroke, severe bleeding, you've lost consciousness, you've got serious injuries, you've been in an accident, come see accident and emergency, because you have an accident or you're having an emergency. If you're unsure, call 111. If it's something that you know can be treated by your GP or the pharmacy, go see them. They are available. The new contract change that Dr. Osman was talking about, I think, is a revelation, because from October 2025, you can actually access care at a much faster rate than you could have otherwise. Those roadblocks are now gone. They're not completely cleared, but we're working on trying to make community care better. You know, one of the things about eye problems, for example, did you know that Specsavers have a service where they have same-day NHS appointments for people who have minor eye ailments, so you don't have to come to A&E, for example. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do as a collective to try and prevent ourselves getting sicker in a trolley or on a chair in A&E. And with that, I'm done. Thank you very much. Salawat. If you have any questions for any of us.
Assalamu alaikum, Doctor. All of three of you are really good and incisive presentations, and you have thoroughly depressed me now. So, but even with the compassion, we are still looking at a crisis situation in the NHS. How do you think, 14 years experience, what about the next 5 years? Are we looking at a twin care system now, private care and NHS? NHS for people like me and private care for those who can afford it?
It's a very good question. And to be honest with you, I don't have the answer. But the only thing I would say that things have deteriorated significantly. And it is more frustrating to us than probably even to yourselves. And it has increased the workload exponentially to ourselves more than, because I'll give you an example. I've seen a patient, I've examined them, they need a referral to surgery for hernia, okay? I'll give you an example for hernia. I've sent the referral. I'm not 100% what are the waiting times at the moment on top of my head, but let's say it's 6 months, okay? I'll tell that patient, I'll give them a very good guide if it's obstructed, what are the signs of obstruction, and they need to go to A&E. They'll give me a call after 3 months, say the pain is still going, I haven't received any appointment, or I've received an appointment, but at the letter that's saying it's 9 months waiting, okay? I'll quickly triage again the call, and they are not in obstruction, so I said, okay, carry on with pain relief, and we see how things go. Then suddenly, after 2 months, I'll receive a letter that they have obstructed, they've gone to the hospital, they had an emergency operation, okay? Now, this is a scenario that he managed to go and get treated as an emergency. But the thing is, how many times that patient will be calling me, and I'll have no answer. And there are times that we get a lot of unhappiness or a lot of words, or people are angry on us. But what more can I do? In my capability as a GP, I've finished my work. I've diagnosed the condition. I've done the appropriate referral. It's the system. And to be fair, the ICBs, okay, we believe as GPs, they have more soft corners for the hospital and secondary care. I'm sorry about that, Dr. Nasir, but there is very little that they want to help us with, okay? Or whatever they help, they feel it's a load for us in general practice compared to the hospital. And we have a lot of examples on that, but it's not. But what I'm trying to say, for instance, at the moment, there was an opening. I'm talking about Peterborough and Cambridgeshire ICB. They were used to give all the referral to the private hospital for NHS patients. For the last 6 months, there's no funding. That has stopped, okay, till 1st of April 2026. All these patients who have been referred, have been accepted, some of them have started the treatment. It's on hold at the moment. And these all patients call us at the surgery asking us, but it hasn't happened. I was supposed to have an appointment, been cancelled. So it's frustration, extra work, getting a lot of abuse, in inverted commas, out of frustration. Okay? So coming back to your question, the answer I don't know, but the system is literally collapsing. I'm talking about 25 years ago when I came to this country. There's a friend of mine who we were together in Liverpool. He had a chest pain, okay? It was deemed by the GP it's not cardiac, but it needed to be checked if it's not heart-related. Within 2 weeks from the time he saw the GP, all the investigation, seen the consultant, everything ruled out, and he was reassured within 2 weeks. 25 years down the line, there are people, unfortunately, are dying while they're waiting to be seen. It's very sad, but that's the reality. So I don't know if it's going to private service, I don't know. But even if it goes to private, where are the clinicians to do that work as well? Because it's the same NHS doctors who are working in the hospital, and they are trying. I think it's complete system failure. But what we are trying to say, that we are trying to do what we can, what is available, what else we can do, what else you can use to get it. Don't go to A&E unnecessarily, okay? Use 111, speak to the GP, because exactly what Dr. Nasir has said. If it's for every 72 patients, one patient dies, that's a lot. That's a lot. So, yeah, I don't have the answer, but that's the situation. Thank you.
Just got a couple of questions. First for the doctor, and the second one is for the A&E. With regards to the opening hours of the doctor's surgery, you never get an appointment. You ring them from 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, all the appointments are booked. Yeah. So they tell us to ring 111. When we speak to 111, they say, we'll try and get your appointment with your doctor, but we can't because Burberry will never give us any appointments. We just stuck. You have to ring back again day by day. So we have this difficulty all the time trying to get a doctor's appointment. The second thing is we have a disability passport. Because of Muhammad, we have to have that for all services within the NHS. That's always ignored. We've been to hospital where Muhammad's needed to either attend Adam Brooks or Queen's Medical, but we've taken a bed, we've sat there for 2 or 3 days where we know he needs to be at another place. So we should have really, when we went to the hospital, they should have really said, right, okay, we'll get in the ambulance, or you can go and take him there, and there's a bed waiting for you. So again, we were blocking a bed for 3 or 4 days unnecessarily when we knew which hospital he needed to be. And the frustration is that what is the point of completing a disability passport if the doctors, the hospitals, everybody are ignoring what he actually says on there? There was no priority given. We knew what the symptoms were. We knew what needed to happen. It needed to happen quickly. He ended up going into a coma, and it was only then when we were seen and things were rushed. So, you know, I know it's under a lot of pressure, but we've been told by you completing this gives you some kind of priority. They listen, they understand what the needs are, and try and help us. But we've found lots of failures on that part, and we just don't seem to know what to do, really.
Thank you very much. I'll answer the first part. In terms of the appointments, I understand the frustrations, and I think one of the things that's why the new contract has come in effect from the 1st of October, that you have to have a response within the day. You shouldn't be told, call 111 in the first place, okay? So, of course, every surgery works differently, and the way we work in Wisbech since the 1st of October, that we have, and the appointments will go within no time, how much the appointments will provide, they will fill. It's very different 25 years ago, or whenever when I came to this country, or when I was training as a GP, you will have afternoon probably appointments unbooked when I was training as a GP. Those days have gone because the demand had increased. People are getting older, a lot of comorbidities, so it's expected. But what we are doing in Wisbech, that when the appointments are gone, we have what we call a triage ledger, and that goes to the duty doctor. And the duty doctor will definitely decide based on what is there. And as I said earlier, that the way we work, either if we feel we need to call somebody, we will call. If we feel we need to see somebody, we'll ask them, just book them with me at this time, I'll see them. So I think it's important to go back to your surgery and explain to them, what should I do? This is the situation. And discuss with them that what should you do when you need an appointment? Because the access is there. So you can either write to them online, or you can call them, or you can walk in. You can do that as well. But as I said, it depends after your presentation at the time, what they feel will be appropriate for you. Yeah, okay. So the hospital one, I don't know, Nasir, if you want to take that. Yeah.
So I think the disability passport question is very pertinent and a very difficult question to answer. And the reason is because when you come into A&E, for example, the paramedic team normally does present that to the team, and we look at it and see what your priorities of care are. And If the patient is stable enough, then they get moved on to the inpatient stay. Now, with regards to the ambulance, for example, why don't they just take you to the hospital that you need to be at? It's because they have restrictions as to how far they can go. They need to go to the nearest receiving center. So if they think that there is an acute problem that needs to be treated, that can be treated at Peterborough, they will always bring it to Peterborough. Off the record, one of the things that I say to patients is that if you find that you're stable enough to get yourself to the hospital you want to get to, sometimes it's better to do that. Because what happens is once you get admitted, the medical team will be making daily connections with that hospital saying, we've got a patient of yours here, can you please take them, can you please take them? And they will only take them when they have a bed. But that hospital is having the same issue that we're having, in the sense that there are patients in corridors, in ambulances waiting. So the minute a bed becomes available, the acuity, the illness level takes priority, and they'll say, we've got someone having a stroke who needs that bed. They say, well, there's someone in Peterborough that needs to come. They say, well, but are they stable? And the answer is always yes. Okay, then they can wait for the next bed. You see? Until the coma happens. Because at that point, are they stable? The answer is no. Okay, well, I think we need to bring them down then. And that's, unfortunately, the current state of the situation, is that you will find yourself sitting in a very frustrated holding pattern. Kind of like you're circling Heathrow waiting to land. Because that slot, there's always, according to that hospital that you're waiting to go to, there's always somebody else waiting for that bed. If you find that attending Addenbrooke's, which is about a 45-minute drive, is possible, sometimes we say from an A&E perspective, because one of the things, we can never refuse a patient coming in, right? You can call a GP surgery, they might be full. You can go to a pharmacy, they may not have the facility. You can call an outpatient service, they might say, we can't see you until 6 months, but A&E, if you rock up, we will see you. It might take a while, but you will get seen. And so we sometimes end up becoming your advocate, because we'll call and say, look, Muhammad needs to end up at a different hospital. How do we facilitate this? And we will get the same pushback from the ambulance crew. We don't have enough ambulances to take this patient down right now. They're clinically stable, therefore it should be a non-urgent transfer. By the time you actually get there, he's deteriorated. So it's an unfortunate symptom of the pressures that we are seeing. I also wanted to add on that if you do come into A&E with an emergency, you will skip all the nonsense. You will get seen very, very quickly. Oftentimes, you will get moved straight to a majors area or the resuscitation area. You will get a senior doctor coming to see you. You will often get seen and treated and sorted within a couple of hours. So don't get disheartened, like you said, about the state. If you are having an issue and you need to come and see us, come and see us, because we will pick you up from the waiting area, we'll get you in, and we'll get you sorted, But unfortunately, the way the situation is that sometimes you get missed sitting in the waiting area, which is why it's really important to escalate that you are unwell and to say that, look, I've come in with a risk of a heart attack here. Can I get seen quickly, please, rather than sitting waiting for somebody to call you. Any other questions? I hope I answered the question.
I don't really need mic, but the way things have developed over the years, from the time we used to be able to just walk into the GP's surgery and see them, now it assumes a level of IT skills or language skills before somebody can even have the very first access. And this is where the difficulty lies with a lot of the people who are probably, as a Pareto of the 80% who need 20% who take the 80% of the services. They need to have the access, and yet they don't have the skills, necessary skills to actually get that initial access. So how can we get around that particular issue?
Thank you very much. That's very correct. And literally this morning I was reading an email from my practice manager that has been recognized that tech is there to help, but it shouldn't overtake, the whole process of access. So coming back to my slide of the changes, that the access is available in 3 ways, Either you call, or you go online, or you walk in. So we cannot turn you around the way we used to, that when you walk in, say, no, we can't take you on the reception. And people will go outside the surgery and make a phone call. And reception will answer that phone call, and then they will book you, okay? So that's not there. So I understand there are barriers. We have a good number of Eastern European families who don't speak English, okay, in Wisbech, and they will walk in, okay, and whatever communication they can make with the reception, they'll book in for a phone call, and then we will call them using the language line, and then we'll sort them out. So that shouldn't be a barrier. So either use a phone call if you are not able to use online service, or just walk in, and they should be able to help you. And then whoever will call you next, they need to use the language line to help you out. And that's why we have all the languages that we can communicate with. So I know it's not easy for everyone, okay? But again, there's a lot of goodness in it. For instance, like people who need extension of their sick notes, medication repeats. Now, people don't call, it's just all online. Unless we have a query about a medication, we will get back to you through our pharmacist or ourselves. But otherwise, it's a very smooth, straightforward process. But I would say either call or walk in. That's what I would say. Yeah.
What you guys are talking about is putting out fire. What you should be talking and we should be implementing is to prevent the fire. In this our community here, every day the food we are eating is taking us to the A&E. And we don't stop and think. The NHS doesn't stop and think. There are drug companies, they have ministers who are non-executive, wives are non-executive directors to be able to sell Munjaro and all that. Why should Munjaro be a first line? Like our mosque here, we should, I've been thinking for a while, how do we introduce the food we eat here for the 30 days of Ramadan, for wafat, for kushali, for weddings? How do we change so that this community people, a minimum number of people, end up in A&E? So it's something we as a community have to do it, because we are used to biryani. Maybe as collectively as the whole community should be looking how to change our diet, our situation, you know, because all we are doing, all you guys are doing is putting out fire, and you're waiting for the fire engine to come. But if your house had proper gas certificate, electric certificate, you're not going to get the fire, yes? That's my thinking, and inshallah we will try to bring this policy of changing the whole community diet and food.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very well said thing, but being our president, we will wait for you to bring this policy for a change. We'll be looking, it's a very good idea, and I think, yes, if we can change, that's good. The whole point of this presentation is literally to give people awareness of what's happening around so that they can help themselves while you are trying to bring the change in the diet and everything. Then when that comes into place, that will be fantastic. But it's a very good idea. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat. Mu'minin, the program is coming to an end. Just to inform you that there will be Shabika Dar Amal led by Sheikh Nima in the masjid, and also the waffles sell in R1 for a noble cause. Mu'minin, on behalf of the Husaini Islamic Center, I would like to thank Dr. Osman, Dr. Nazir, and Brother Ghulam for delivering an excellent lecture. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you tawfiq to carry on with this excellent bal. Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat.
السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا سيدتي ويا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا محمد الحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذرية الحسين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائي في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وإنا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا ونمتعه يا طويلة برحمتك يا أبا أمي.
اللهم صل على محمد.